Welcome viewers to a second episode of Beyond Boundaries. This week in cricket, what do we have for them?
I mean, there's a lot happening. Domestic, international cricket, a lot of series being played. We'll rightly go into the test squad selected.
The most recent news.
For India.
Test squad is out for India. Some unexpected selections, mostly expected selections.
Yes.
The surprise being Avesh and Jurel. What do you have to say?
I mean,
some of us have really diverse opinions on Avesh.
Yeah. I mean, Jurel also, I was not expecting that. But I think Rahul is going to be utilized as a specialist batsman
yes.
rather than a keeper.
But the squad says Rahul as keeper.
Yeah, squad says that. But I think one of the statements that I read about from one of the BCCI members is Rahul is going to be utilized as a specialist batsman and Bharat making it through.
Yeah, with spinning pitches, you have to bend for 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
Keep for like almost in a 80 overs, maybe 60 overs of spin. So it is going to be difficult for keeper nonetheless. And with the heat.
Yeah, Avesh I think is a like-to-like replacement for Prasidh. As if I look at the squad, that is what I think.
I hope we find a great player, bowler in him, because we do need the variety, or like we will be discussing in the particular episode, where the depth of bowling department is a little iffy. So more the players merrier there.
Yeah.
In terms of Jurel, what do you see in Jurel?
So
we have seen him briefly in the IPL.
Yes, briefly in the IPL, he's got those finishing touches. But I haven't personally watched him play in the domestic circuit, red ball cricket at least. So that is why I said it's kind of shocking to me. But let's see what he throws when he comes into the 11 if given a chance.
But overall, a good squad?
It's a decent squad to play in Indian conditions. You have 4 spinners. 4 core spinners who's over.
There could be a game where all 4 play.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised.
I mean, and against baseball team, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. I definitely.
Going forward, do stay tuned to the video where we discuss in depth about the upcoming series. Yeah.
Moving on, what is the other news?
Okay, there is other news where Newzealand absolutely thulped Pakistan 2-0.
2-0.
Pakistan, a shadow of the team. I think so. The downfall since Asia Cup is just continuing.
They are also trying to make in some
fresh players
into the squad, but it hasn't worked till now. But let's
for them also, I think it's time to drop Mickey Arthur. I think so. That is also not working out for them.
I mean, Hafiz, I hope he's the director now. Let's hope he ring in a lot of other changes into his team. But bowling department is still below par. I mean, Haris Rauf still getting belted, thrashed around. Shaheen Afridi not getting his lines.
Captaining.
Yes. I mean, added pressure. Babar still resisted, but Babar scored 250s, of course, to a losing cause. So that's about New Zealand, and Williamson unfortunately getting injured. He is not going to play rest of the season.
Injury son.
Yeah.
No longer Williamson. Okay. Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. As expected,
Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe. As expected, Wanindu is back, and Tikshna looks good.
Yeah.
So the combination of Wanindu and Tikshna working for them.
After all, it is Sri Lankan conditions, so it is working out. You have to still.
No, but they are winning games from where like 178 for 8 when you need to score 40-50 odd more runs, and they're winning games from there.
Yeah.
Angelo Matthews providing finishing touches. Great. Moving on to the next one is India Afghanistan. We had a brilliant game yesterday where Dube announced himself. He just threw his hat in the ring and saying, "Don't forget."
Hardik would be getting some goosebumps already.
I know Hardik would be sweating bullets actually, but I don't think so. He's worried.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Hardik will be got into the squad when required, rested when required, injured when required. So that's Hardik's story. Apart from that, Kohli is back, and I think he showed glimpses of what he is looking into the T20 cricket, his mode of cricket.
Rohit Sharma, short ball.
They will resist with Rohit, of course, but there are talks that if he doesn't perform in the Bengaluru T20, there could be chances he could be dropped.
The talk after the World Cup was that he is not going to be part of it. Suddenly he is part of the ODI's setup. T20 setup. So let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
Then to close off last week's, there was this funny incident. I don't know how many of our viewers are aware of it. In a Ranji game, Bihar president picked a squad, and the secretary picked another squad. Both the teams turned up for the same game.
And I think it's played. A game in Bihar is played after 32 years.
32 years, yeah. And then there are two teams picked for the same game, and it was like completely movie style. The team that came first got the chance to play.
And I think they played Mumbai.
Yeah, they played Mumbai. Bihar had a 12-year-old debutant as well. So, congratulations to the record maker. But yeah, the incompetency at the grassroots levels is sometimes just so stunning that there is no communication between the president and the secretary of the same board. Why they are hosting a game after 32 years? They should be like looking forward to this as a big moment.
Game. Yeah,
where nothing should go wrong, and then you send two teams. We were wondering, right? How was it like? How did they decide who plays?
Yeah.
Like whoever reaches first. Did they race on the way?
Make a movie out of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, make a movie out of it. Where they're like we'll just race and then finish it. Okay, that was this week's cricket news. Before we move on to the main segment of India's future and did India plan only for the ODI World Cup, do like, share and subscribe to the channel. If you like our content, please hit the like button. Do share it with your folks. Drop in your comments, because your interaction with us gives us motivation to always improve for the next video. Moving on to the next segment. This week, we are answering the biggest question, like you can see in the title. Have India not looked past the 50-over World Cup? Have they put all their eggs in one particular basket on the success of the ODI World Cup? Because evidence suggests it is. What do you think? Just at the prima facie of it, I think this is something that we need to discuss a lot.
Yes, this requires a lot of discussion basically, and a big question to be answered right now with BCCI, especially with 3 different formats.
True.
I don't think India has worked out really well or structured enough to have built a squad representing each format. So let's start off with T20, because that's the shortest format that we have been watching now.
Yeah, in terms of the squad, I think T20 squad is the most confused squad, I feel, because certain times we are giving emphasis on the youth, certain times we are giving emphasis on experience. Rohit and Kohli, who were rested for like more than a year from the T20I picture, are suddenly called back even for Afghanistan series. So even for Afghanistan series, where you could have given youngsters more of a push and seen who can, truly represent India in the long run, they have gone back to the roots of. So this is why I'm saying that it is like clearly not planned. They planned on India winning the World Cup and then resting on that laurels for some time, and then everything will figure out itself. But this feels very, very panicky BCCI move to suddenly, we need to at least win T20 World Cup now.
So what I feel is like there are different factors, to it. Not just being confused as a board or cricketing board. It sometimes becomes really difficult when you have a lot of players who plays in the same position playing different domestic cricket. Some play Syed Mustaq Ali, some play IPL, and what happens is when it comes to selections, there's really not a core set of players who have consistently performed.
That is a problem. No, for me that is a problem with the T20 format itself. The top batsman gets emphasis, the finisher gets emphasis. Middle order is always forgotten, because middle order has very little to do in a T20, or most of the time it's a boring job of getting singles and doubles. So people tend to forget those kind of players. So what happens is, then suddenly you only have openers and finishers to pick from for a team, and that is what India have done also. How many finishers suddenly? Now India have a problem of too many finishers in T20 squad.
Up until like last year, there was just Hardik, who was relied so much upon, but with injuries, he was out, and India didn't really have a good finisher.
And Jadeja was like hot and cold.
Here and there, So now that we have like too many finishers, it's becoming a difficult choice to pick which is the right option.
Likes of Rinku. Rinku last year alone tremendous. You have Dube now. We were just discussing last week when we were just casually discussing. We were like, Dube has a really good outside chance, and here we go. First opportunity, and he's grabbed it with both hands. and on top of it, you have add somebody like Jitesh.
Jitesh Sharma.
Yeah, Jitesh.
Great keeper.
Yeah, great keeper as an option. Say suppose Pant makes a comeback or Sanju is included in the team. These options are galore for India in terms of finishing. Again, it is the 1 down, 2 down options is where it looks a little iffy because Shreyas is not on top of his form. In terms of 1 down, again, you are forcing somebody like a Jaiswal to bat 1 down to accommodate Shubman Gill into the team. What happens there is a big question.
But Sachin, we are talking on the basis of what is happening over the recent past, right? Let's take a little further back, okay? Have we seen any player who has been really cementing his place consistently throughout? That is the thing where I am looking.
The problem is consistently you're not given the same squad. No, you're not consistently given the same squad.
The problem is
in T20. I'm not saying ODI and Test.
One more thing, the reliance about like with Kohli or Rohit Sharma has been too much that they were not able to give chance to others. Maybe when Rohit failed once or twice, or let's say Virat failed once or twice, they should have tried with someone new who could be the actual backup for a Kohli.
Is it too late to experiment?
I mean, I feel so because considering T20 World Cup is going to happen very soon, it is too late to experiment too much.
No, but what I would say is, see, you have tried and tested the same formula umpteen number of times now, and it's kept on failing, or it's failed at the last hurdle. Let us look at the last 3 ICC tournaments itself. The Test Championship failed. It is the same experience squad, same coaching system, everything is same. ODI World Cup failed. Prior to that, T20 World Cup failed. So it is enough. Like what it is like. It is something like what Einstein says. You know, the problem is you can't keep repeating the same mistake, same process, and expect a different result. Now understood. Like we have repeated the process 3 times, and it is not yielding any result. So once we have understood that, maybe it is time for me. For me, I feel it is youth's chance. You should give it. Since it's a T20 World Cup, and it's a World Cup in a different country where it's alien conditions to everybody, maybe give youth a chance and let them be carefree. Like what Dhoni was given 2007 World Cup, where a completely fresh
team.
That is my take rather than...
No, I mean, very true. Keeping future in mind, they should go with that.
But you still would prefer experience.
See, experience matters, okay, but not to an extent where you do not think about future. So keeping future in mind, I would say give most of the youngsters a great chance, but keeping 1 or 2 very experienced player to have that maturity going forward.
I understand the squad needs maybe experience in youth. That I am going for youth, you are going for experience. In terms of coaching staff, what do you have to say? Because I again have a very different take to maybe most of the people. So
coming
what is
to
your
the
take?
coaching staff, another very important factor in a team's development, I would say, at a long run. So we have currently Dravid, who is heading the coaching department along with the others. They have been given a good number of chances now.
3-4 years now?
Of course.
3
and
years.
You mentioned 3 great tournaments that we failed to win, right? Now that staff has been given enough chance, I think something new, a new methodology in coaching department has to come into place.
Yeah, I think the comfort factor should go away, where they are used to seeing Dravid, they are used to seeing a Lakshman. They are more like friends more than anything else. I think so. There should be somebody who comes in and shakes up the system entirely. I mean, you should fear a coach. Coach should not be your buddy. That is my philosophy. Coach should never be your buddy. You should fear the coach. I mean, that is what I think so Ravi Shastri had. I mean, even though maybe in terms of coaching, technical ability wise, he had little less, but what he had was that he inculcated that fear in players.
The seriousness.
The hunger to win. And win anyway. Like, it is not like win fair also. I mean, if you wanted to do something a little bit, 50-50 grayish in terms of by the rules and all, he was okay with it. So that kind of attitude a coach needs to bring into this particular team if you want them to see win championship. I agree. Also, one more thing now that we are talking about coaching system. Do you think something like a split coaches should be experimented with? Somebody like a young upcoming coach for a T20 format, somebody like a Dravid. I'm happy with Dravid being the test coach because that is his kind of forte where the game is slow, everything is fine. But for me, I think so. Dravid in limited overs, I don't think so. Dravid is my cup of tea. It was not from the first. In the beginning itself, I had my reservations, and it is very difficult to now support Dravid after the recent failure as well.
I mean, it's a great point if you have to ask me. Three different coaches for three different formats. It will
Or at least
work
two
that
different,
way.
or at least two different
Yeah.
coaches. Yeah.
Because that way each coach will have their own set of strategies and thinking. Like if, for example, you are coaching a test team and I'm coaching a limited over team, my intentions would be straight to field and players who are actually good at limited overs, and my strategic thinking would be towards that. And
Correct.
yours would be a longer run. So that way it can help. Yes, of course they can try, because Indian board have not tried that much, I would say.
The only board that has tried that to a certain degree successfully is England. But suddenly, off late, England have fallen off it.
Yeah.
Also, so it is not like it is a winning formula. It is a given winning
Yes.
formula. It is both. It can be both helpful as well as.
What I felt in Rahul Dravid's coaching department is when they go into each format of tournaments, their mentality is like, let's say, a Virat Kohli who's a proven one-day cricketer or a test cricketer. They still need him in that T20 format. That is where their thinking is.
There are 4 or 5 players who will play across all
Exactly.
all
So
three formats.
The mentality is that. But when you have split coaching unit, then the thinking becomes different as well.
Also, maybe the problem with that particular thing where you're saying, you know what, there is a coach and he'll have his team, a B coach, he'll have his team. So I also feel that also removes the flexibility part where you can suddenly, if there is an injury, you can pull out a player from here and then fix him here. That goes away.
Yeah.
That particular part goes away where he doesn't fit into this team. Because the philosophy of this particular team is different to this particular team's philosophy.
But I'm not taking away the fact that if the plan B or the B team coach thinks there is a player who needs to be playing in both the formats, he needs to be in the squad right away. That's it. Then I think all these concerns can be sorted out.
Also, one last thing before we move on to other things.
Okay.
Indian coach or foreign coach? What do you want to see?
So I would want to go into a foreign coach mode.
Okay.
Especially I've started watching cricket when we had foreign coaches, John Wright, Greg Chappell, Gary Kirsten, a lot of them. I've seen real success coming up, or the transition has happened really well. I mean, the seriousness, like Ganguly taking away from Nazruddin. I mean, that transition itself, Ganguly did it quite well. Of course, there were issues with the coaches, but I would want a foreign coach personally. What about you?
I think it is difficult for BCCI to hire a foreign coach because of the politics involved and everything. In terms of Indian coach, I hope it is not VVS Lakshman, because he can be a good mentor, I feel. I don't think so there is coaching credentials or that fight he can bring in the players. He's going to be even more sedate than Rahul Dravid. So it's going to be even very difficult. So in terms of so then options in India are very limited. So that is why I don't mind somebody even if you go to say somebody like a Praveen Amre and you say, you know what, you have been in the circuit, you've done a lot of work at the grassroots level. So we are going to back you. So I think so it should start somewhere like that.
Yeah. I mean, we'll also give our subscribers a chance to comment down on this video.
Sure. Do
Who do you
comment.
think will be our
Who's the next
coach?
best for India's coach? And do you think Rahul Dravid should continue? Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've spoken enough about coaching staff, let's move on to how we could strengthen our bench, get in more reserve players for the team. How is domestic cricket being impacted towards all this, contributing towards getting a player into the Indian cricket team? What are your thoughts on it?
I think domestic cricket, like I said before, IPL is the major factor, major drive towards it. But having said that, somebody like a Dhruv Jurel, who has not done well in IPL, has got a chance now with being included in the test squad. You have somebody like a KS Bharat, again, not done well in IPL, but very strong in the Ranji circuit. So I think so Ranji helps with the test selection, and I don't think so there is a direct gateway to ODI team. I think you have to make it to the T20 team. If you do well in the T20 team, then you make way to the ODI team. So in terms of squad depth, I think we have little light on pace bowlers, I think so, quality pace bowlers. After Bumrah, Siraj, and Shami, who are playing across formats for us. Like all three formats, they are there. They are our bowlers. Beyond them, there are just one or two players that you can pick. Maybe somebody like an Arshdeep. Now they have picked Avesh. Let us see how he does.
Yeah.
But other than that, Mukesh again, the previous Test series showed glimpses of promise. So there is this thing, but bowling department looks very weak compared to batting department for me.
At least the pace unit looks very.
No, even the spin unit. There's no other off spinner available.
I mean, I think spin unit off spinner, we have Washington Sundar who's just.
Who doesn't even spin the ball. I mean, like, you can call him.
He's not consistently playing for India.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Who is another off spinner? No, there is no other. I agree. Jadeja as a replacement in Aksar. And maybe a Shahbaz Ahmed, if he does well.
Future,
yeah, so there is some backup to Jadeja levels. But in terms of like Ashwin, there is not even anyone remotely close is not available. And again, a leg spinner. There is no leg spinner, only Ravi Bishnoi. And Ravi Bishnoi in Test, in T20 itself, in an over, he gives you 2 full tosses. So in Test, it is going to be.
Most of the deliveries are googly or wrong ones. That is what I have seen.
Yeah, so
spinning unit looks very bleak.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the backup, we have to depend on that fourth bowler. Every time there is a series, there's a new person who's gotten. And I think even Prasidh Krishna was given enough chances over the last 5-6 months.
I think so that injury really set him back.
Has not proven enough to be in the squad.
True.
Domestic circuit, if I look at, even there, if you actually look at a bowler who's consistently performing, it is very less. And that is why it becomes a very difficult choice for them to pick that fourth position.
And even the pace all-rounder
is
such a merry-go-round. Who will play? When Hardik is fit, Hardik will play. But when will Hardik be fit? That Hardik decides and Mumbai Indians decides. So,
I mean, you do not have that pace bowling all-rounder right now. With India, we did see some kind of show from Shivam Dube. But the bowling, when it comes, I think it doesn't have enough pace or variations to sustain different conditions across the world. That is what I feel.
Yeah, and Thakur again, some days he's brilliant, some days he's, very, very average. To put it mildly, very average.
Yeah.
So who do you back on? So fourth bowler is an issue, fifth bowler is an issue.
Yeah.
So that shows bowling depth, lack of bowling depth. So that is where somebody like an Avesh who's coming in needs to step up.
Yes.
Someone like in Kuldeep now needs to, like in tests, needs to shoulder the burden more. Yes. Because he needs to now come into a test team as well. So this has to be that particular series for now all this.
And what's happening with Yuzvendra Chahal? I mean, he's performed well in Vijay Hazare or Syed Mustaq Ali, the one recently that happened. He was.
I think it's very unfair treatment of UZ in general by the BCCI. None of us know the reason why. Maybe he makes a comeback. You never know. Yeah. Suddenly there's an injury. There's no other players available. We have seen it many a times when we have said oh, this player has no chance to come back. Suddenly there's an injury and he's back. I mean, look at Ashwin. We didn't ever think he'd be part of ODI squad. He was there after 2 years of not playing an ODI. So it is not going to be that far away. If he keeps performing, how long can you ignore?
Yeah, true. So, let's hope for the best. But this is a big question.
Are you looking forward to the test series? 5-match test series?
Of course.
Finally.
When it's England, I am looking forward to it. They make a lot of statements before they come. They try to play brain games.
Yeah.
But we are India and we are...
Yeah, considering we are playing in home conditions, I think so we start off much better.
Ole Pop made a statement that if ball starts spinning from the first day, they don't mind playing that because they're all prepared to.
Very good. No, then nothing to complain about.
Exactly. And
bass ball. What is bass ball going to do in India? On square turners, how much bass can hit the ball? It is going to be. I think so. It's the first bass ball in India.
In India, yes.
First bass ball in India. So let us see. On turning tracks, will bass ball and against quality spinners.
Exactly.
Will bass ball prove a winning strategy?
Yeah.
Let us see how it goes forward. Thanks for joining us on this particular weekend of Beyond Boundaries. Hope you liked today's segment, what we have covered. If you have any ideas on what we need to cover in the coming up episodes, do drop in the comments. We will try to address them.
Yes.
Yes. Until then, stay safe.
Let's go. Fundamentals.